Can you hack the inner voice? You know, the inner critic, the source of drama, the thing that talks to you all day long about what happened before and what's going to happen next, the thing that distracts you and makes you feel like everything in your life is negative. Is there a hack for that? Well, there is, and they've discovered it in about 2001 doing brain research, and I'm going to share that with you today. But there is a key that unlocks this hack that takes you to even a deeper level, and I'm going to share that with you. Hi, this is Dr. Mark Waller. I've been a licensed marriage family therapist going on 20 years now. Welcome to Mastering Thought, where we explore the mind, marriage, and mental health. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon so you get notified when there's a new video uploaded to my channel. As a therapist, I can tell you that virtually all emotional psychological problems come from the voice in your head that sounds like you talking to you. Well, we've learned a way to hack that voice in your head due to the research that started in about 2001. A neuroscientist by the name of Marcus Raichle discovered that when we're at rest, there is a certain network in the brain that turns on. The discovery of this network is creating a revolution in the way we understand the human experience and the way the brain works. To set this up, let's do a little experiment. Just sit there and relax and notice the voice in your head when it starts up. So you might be sitting there thinking, I need to get a haircut this weekend. And then you suddenly realize, I'm having a thought. The moment you realize you're thinking, but you don't get involved in the thought, what happens to the voice in your head? Take a moment and share with us in the comments below what happens to the voice in your head when you take a step back and merely observe it. Well, a neuroscientist by the name of Marcus Raichle was one of the first to really categorize this specific phenomenon in the brain. They were doing fMRI studies, which is a way of studying how the brain activates when we do certain things. But the person was just laying in the fMRI waiting for the experiment to begin, and Raichle noticed that there were certain areas of the brain depicted in the diagram I've got up now that would activate when the person was just laying there. And the researchers were like, well, this is crazy. Why is there activity? We haven't even started the experiment yet. Then, when they started the experiment, they noticed this other area of the brain. Now, my diagram is not anatomically correct, but this other area of the brain would light up when the person did a task or when they paid attention. Now, they labeled that part of the brain the task positive network. They labeled the other part of the brain the task negative network, better known as the default mode network. Well, why did they call it the default mode network? Because whenever the person stopped doing a task and started to relax, the default mode network would light up. Well, what's significant about this is you'll notice in the diagram there's a little spot over here in the left hemisphere in the temporal lobe that would light up and is part of the default mode network. Inside the temporal lobe is a structure called the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system, where we have emotional memory and fight or flight. And it's adjacent to and indistinguishable from the verbal center. Well, they did more research and they discovered that the default mode network is responsible for our inner dialogue. The inner dialogue that is about the remembered past and the imagined future, all the worst case scenarios. Further research has revealed that it's involved in depression and anxiety. And of course, as a therapist, I can tell you it's involved in virtually every mental or stress-related problem people have when they walk into my office. Okay, so what's the hack? Well, what they learned was when a person was doing a task, the internal dialogue would just completely shut off, and hopefully that's what you found when you did the exercise. When you pay attention to the voice in your head, it immediately shuts off. Well, what's happening is the paying attention turns on the task positive network and immediately shuts off the default mode network, and the voice in your head goes silent. Well, there's the hack. Now, most people would stop right there and they'd say, okay, here's some methods to make this hack work. Here are two methods, mindfulness and meditation. So when you meditate and you're mindful, it quiets down the default mode network. Other things that make the default mode network quiet down are all the psychedelics, MDMA, ayahuasca, LSD, psilocybin for magic mushrooms. This is why people have spiritual experiences, because when the voice in their head is silenced, all of a sudden this other reality opens up to them. My clients experience the same thing doing the thought watching exercise that I teach them. But here's the key that unlocks this whole thing. It's not enough to hack the inner voice and make it go quiet. You need to have the knowledge that the voice in your head is not you. So every time you quiet the voice, you're taking a step toward disidentification. In other words, the sense of self that comes with the internal dialogue eventually dissolves, and you're free of the false self that the ego mind creates out of this dialogue that we have in our head. So when you do this exercise, remember, the voice in your head is not you, and eventually that will take hold, and you will definitely feel a shift in your own consciousness. If you want another look at this, I've included a link for a free audio download called An Evening with Mark Waller, where I discuss the limbic system, the amygdala, and the voice in your head. Feel free to download that. It's free, and I'll be interested to hear what you think about that in the comments below. Remember, you must master thought or it will master you.